Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. Stay tuned for this week's special guest. I'm interviewing Tim Goodwin, who is the associate editor of the Flower Gardener's Handbook from the Old Farmer's Almanac. I'm sure you all know about the Old Farmer's Almanac. That's my go-to book for almost anything. And with spring being here, we thought we'd have Tim come on and give us some tips on planting. And I'm interviewing Merriweather, who's become a regular. He's a forager and a scientist, and he always tells us about the health benefits of different spices and herbs. And today he's going to tell us about the health benefits of olive oil. So please stay with me. And today we have as a special guest, spring is here or almost here. And spring, everyone thinks of especially planting flowers and vegetables and fruits and things like that. And I was just so happy to get Tim Goodwin today for an interview. He is the associate editor of the Flower Gardener's Handbook from the Old Farmer's Almanac. It's such an incredible book for anybody that just wants to get into planting flowers or just read more about it. Tim, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you, Maria. It's really a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you asking me to be on.
So tell me again, I know you said, I just want to tell our listeners, because that book is so comprehensive. How many did you say there were 32 profiles of 32 flowers?
There's 32 profiles. There are so many flowers out there, as you and your listeners know. So it was hard to narrow it down. But what we tried to do was pick 32 ones that were really common and in most areas, within the United States and Canada, the area that our readers cover.
Exactly, which is great. So I guess I wanted to start off by asking you, what are the most popular flowers for spring?
Oh, wow. If you looked in my garden, it would be daffodils and tulips. They're all over the place at my house. The tulips were really great because we redid a garden area last year. And my two little girls loved helping me dig those holes and putting those tulips in the ground. And now they're coming up. They haven't started to open yet, but those are the two most popular at my house.
And that's great because I love it because it makes a really nice weekend family project, right?
Oh, absolutely. We also have our new garden guide out as well. And there's a great story in there about gardening with kids. And it is just fantastic. It for me as the father of two young little girls who love to come out and help me, it's so important because it's not just an activity for a weekend or a season. It's something you're fostering in them for their life.
Exactly. And I always talk about, we always talk about eating together as a family, but it's wonderful if you garden. I know we're talking about flowers today, but even people that, do the vegetables and things like that with the kids. So they're growing this stuff and spending the time, planting it and doing that together. So eating together also, so that gives it an extra oomph, but by spending all that time, you're absolutely right. Just teaches them so much about that. So for a newbie, I guess you would call it, or somebody that might not, feel too confident or hasn't really done a lot of flower planting, what would you recommend to start with?
I think it's important to be, to not try to do too much too soon. You really want to start simple. Pick a few flowers that you enjoy, something that you like to buy at the store and bring home and put in a vase, something like that, and really focus on a few flowers that you can pay attention to. You don't want to plant a huge perennial garden with annuals as well and just be overwhelmed because it's a lot of work. So I think starting simple and starting small and just really first thinking through what you want is the most important step at first.
That's a great idea. Yes, because I know we all do that. We get excited by wanting to do too much, and then it's like you just do too much. So, and you kind of trip yourself up by doing too much of any one thing. So I think that's a great idea to buy like a few of your favorite plants from a local store. But what about growing flowers from the actual seeds? Is that a little more something that you wouldn't recommend for a beginner?
I think it would be, yeah, I think you should try to start with seeds because you're never going to know if you can do it unless you try.
Right.
So again, but starting small, maybe picking one type of flower or a couple flowers and just setting a few up in the early spring, those that time before the last frost where you want to get them going inside and really kind of pay attention to what they need, the amount of water, the amount of light, and not trying to, bite off more than you can chew.
Are there any flowers that are like simpler to grow from seed than say others? Are there any? I know we have some plants, like I know arugula in the Northeast is a really easy plant to grow. And that obviously it's not a flower, but are there flowers kind of like that where you put the seeds down and they're pretty simple to grow?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely there are ones that require so many different steps. There are the ones that you want to just put right you put them into the soil, give them a little bit of water, a little bit of light, and let them grow. Other ones where you have to soak them to kind of let them germinate
Right.
a little bit to get those roots coming out. There's others you have to scratch a certain way to get in. So yeah, I think, thinking about what you want, maybe coming up with a list of the flowers that you want, and then going and really reading about them. The seed packets, our website is a great tool as well.
Uh-huh.
Going in and seeing what they require from the start of seeds, and then narrowing down your list, because it's really, it's good to start with a simple task. And then, and when you start simple and you see the success, it's only going to make you want to do more and try different things the following year, the following seasons. And then keeping a list of, like, if you go to someone's house and you say, oh, that flower is beautiful, asking questions, because there's always, they know what it started with and how it started and what worked. So that's the thing that I've done a lot, is I ask a lot of questions of people who have gardens, that I've seen things that I like, that I want to try at home.
That's a great idea. And my last question is, so I know when I do, as I had mentioned to you at the beginning of our conversation, so I have lots of success growing like vegetables and fruits and things, flowers, not so much. So I know with my vegetables and fruits, there are certain ones that you don't like to grow together. Is that the same thing with flowers, or are there certain ones that you should put together more so than others and keep some others apart?
Yeah, I mean, I think for flowers, it comes down to balance, and it comes down to colors. It comes down to bloom times, because you
Uh-huh.
don't want to plant, everything that blooms in the spring, and then you have all this beautiful color, in April and May, and then there's nothing left for the rest of the year. So really, it's planning of, and it's a mixture of perennials and annuals, and shrubs are great too. I've planted a lot of flowering shrubs at my house that bloom at different times, so
Oh,
they
that's
mix
a great idea.
in nicely with those flower bulbs and the perennials and annuals to give that little splash of color throughout the growing season.
Oh, that's great. And actually, I just wanted to mention one thing. I know we talked about daffodils and lilies, but you did mention that those are things, they come out in the spring, but you really need to plant those bulbs in the fall, correct?
You do, yeah, because they need that over winter to kind of establish their roots and get set for the bloom, because they do come out so early in the year.
Mhm.
There's
Yes.
not the temperature isn't, consistently 75, 80 degrees. There is rain, so they need that time to really establish themselves. So when they feel like spring is coming, they can start popping up. There was a few years ago where we had, I'd say it was about 65-degree weather on Christmas Day, and
Uh-huh.
my daffodils started blooming.
Yes.
Thankfully, they went back and they stayed, and they ended up, they started coming up, and then they bloomed in the spring. But
Uh-huh.
when they get that sense of spring, they want to come up. So they can't be planted now because it's just too late. So that's a good thing, is start planning also for this year. What you want to have bloom in the, late spring, summer, fall, but start thinking about what you see now that you want to have come up in your garden next year.
Great. All great tips. Tim Goodwin. And you said there's a website. Is it the Old Farmer's Almanac website people can go to for more tips?
It is, yeah, it's almanac.com. There are pages and pages of individual flowers and vegetables. There's and like stuff we have in the book, things about pests and diseases and how to combat those. Um, Another thing, if I could just say,
Yes.
when you're starting to get into your garden, the most important thing you can think of before you even think about putting something in that ground is to start considering your soil. Soil is so important, and it is really that foundation for what you need for your garden to grow. So, if you're not sure where that, because different flowers require different pH preferences, you know,
Yeah.
if you haven't gardened in it before, it's a new area, get your soil tested to see what it looks like, because then you can know what you need to add to it to get it to where it needs to be, so those bulbs and seeds and starters can thrive.
That's a great idea. Yes, people don't realize that. I learned that through the years in planning that soil is so, so important. People don't realize that. So I love that idea. Definitely get your soil tested. That's
and
great.
and
And
definitely make sure you add some nice organic matter into there too, because your plants will love it.
oh, definitely. That's great. And again, Tim Goodwin is the associate editor from the Flower Gardener's Handbook of the Old Farmer's Almanac. Again, it's a great book, makes even a nice Mother's Day present or gift for yourself. So thanks so much, Tim. Hopefully we'll hear from you in the future and much success with the book.
Thank you, Maria. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye. We have our regular recurring guest and expert, Merriweather, on from Medicine Man Plant Co. And he's also a scientist. And we've been discussing all kinds of herbs, right? Herbs and spices. And people don't realize the value of that stuff more so than just the flavor. But today we're talking about olive oil, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a pretty exciting compound once you start looking into it, especially the chemistry, but the health benefits it actually has. Everyone knows olive oil is healthy, but today we're going to talk about just what are the health benefits that you get from it.
Yeah. So
And
what are the health benefits? Yeah, or I guess.
well, there's a number of them, believe it or not. So, starting with the chemical composition, it has a large amount of what's called omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids.
Uh-huh.
You may have heard these. These are normally obtained from things like fish
Uh-huh.
and animals, but olive oil is a high percentage of this. This omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids, they are very important for the structure of the heart and the brain. So if you are lacking it in your diet, you can actually run into heart disease issues, but also brain problems. One
Wow.
of the things that they've shown, and I just want to, background, I have a PhD in physical organic chemistry,
Yes.
medicinal chemistry background. And so when I'm talking about these are things that scientists have actually found. So along with helping the heart, the
Huh?
brain also gets a lot of benefit from it. And in particular, in one situation, it helps with depression. So if you're feeling down, one of the things you want to do is have some, the extra virgin olive oil to your diet to increase the omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid that your brain needs for proper functioning, including maintaining proper levels of serotonin, the feel-good molecule.
Yeah, the feel good. That's, I guess that's
So
why when you're in Italy, it's all like song and food and,
exactly.
with
Yep.
this olive oil.
It's hard to be down when you're cooking with olive oil and
Yeah,
friends and family and all this. So
exactly.
yeah.
Wow. That's,
So
that's
that's
incredible.
yep.
So is there any difference between, the types of olives that produce can you tell us anything about
Yeah.
that?
So not so much the types of olives, but the different purities and the pressings. Like there's the extra virgin, which is when they first press the olives the very first time, that very first oil that comes out. And
Right.
then lower grades are ones where they press harder and squeeze more and get the last dregs of everything out.
Right.
And then even the light olive oil is often a mixture of olive oil with things like canola oil or some other things, so that it's almost like it's olive oil in name only.
Yes.
So for the best results, you really do need to go with the extra virgin olive oil. One of the benefits also, well, One of the downsides
Mhm.
of the extra virgin, though, is it has a lower smoke point than some of the others. So when you're cooking with it, it starts to decompose at a lower temperature than some of the other less virgin but less healthy olive oils too.
Right.
So you don't want to use olive oil to cook meat or other things that require a high sear temperature because the olive oil will actually scorch and burn and add bad flavors to it.
Yeah, there's
So it's
something
more
in
for
the news. I won't mention the name of the company,
Mhm.
but it's a company that makes these ultra high-end pots. And they started getting all these complaints from people that were using olive oil and it was destroying the pan. So they
Uh-huh.
started telling people not to use olive oil. So
Yeah.
definitely, but something else
Mhm.
I was just thinking of as far as the olive oil. So I know you said extra virgin. Yeah, people think olive oil is olive oil, but there's all different quality, and extra virgin is definitely one to look for. Is there any research done like on olive oil from different countries that's, got more benefits or anything like that
That's a
yet?
good question. And I haven't looked into that, but putting out what I call a scientific wild ass guess or a
Right,
swag,
right.
a lot of times the areas where the plants first evolved is
Uh-huh.
going to be where they have the specific micronutrients in the soil
Oh,
to
yes.
produce the micronutrients in the plants themselves.
Right.
So a basic rule of thumb is if you can get the plant from where it originally started on Earth, you're probably better off because it's going to be the one most adapted to that particular soil and be the plant at its fullest potential. It'll
Exactly.
have what it needs to do everything it wants to do.
Yes, yes. So probably like Greece, Italy, Spain,
The
uh,
Mediterranean region. Yep.
Mediterranean region, maybe some of the Arab countries also. Yep,
Yep.
that would definitely make a lot more sense. So, extra virgin, are there any specific colors to look for? Olive oil does have a variety of
Yeah.
colors. It just depends on,
Yeah, and it is a natural product.
right?
And some companies will actually try and blend olive oils to get the same color each time.
Yes.
It's almost like a blended whiskey, trying to get that same
Oh,
flavor and
yes,
color. Whereas others go, this is it. This is what we
yes.
got this year. And so
Right,
rain
right.
and sunshine and all this stuff can have some effect on the
Yes,
overall mixture, chemical
yes, yes.
composition of the olive oil.
Uh-huh. That's great. Any other last tips or anything?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
So the other really good thing about olive oil, going back to the chemistry, is it's also a
yes.
high percentage of what's called oleic acid,
Uh-huh.
which has nothing to do with margarine, but everything to do with inflammation in the body. The oleic acid is actually a very potent anti-inflammatory compound working on several different mechanisms. So it's good for everything from fibroids to arthritis. Wherever
Wow.
you have, basically the inflammation is a defensive mechanism by the body. If there's something wrong, it swells up that area to try and seal off the damaged area so nothing can escape from it.
Right.
Generally, though, it doesn't have to do that. If it's not dealing with an infection, you don't have to seal that area off. But it's
Right.
such an ingrained response in us, but it leads to pain because it's
Uh-huh.
also pressing on the nerve endings. So if you have any sort of issue with inflammation in your body, try adding the olive oil to your diet,
Oh,
several teaspoons a day, straight in or on some nice fruit, some blueberries. Blueberries have, well, maybe
exactly.
not blueberries, but onions, garlic,
Well, even
mushrooms. Yeah.
exactly,
A
or a salad.
salad. Yeah.
Exactly. I was just going to say a salad, and blueberries
Hmm.
make a great topper for a salad too.
Yeah.
But people are always out there looking for these terrible pre-made like salad concoctions they have out
Yeah.
there, dressings. So the easiest and best thing is olive oil and like balsamic vinegar
Yeah.
or a good
Hmm.
vinegar, but olive oil definitely, or olive oil and a squeeze of lemon. It's really good.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep.
olive
And
oil.
I like apple cider vinegar mixed with olive oil too for all
Actually,
sorts
I
of
do
health.
too. I do
Yeah.
apple cider vinegar too. That's really good too. We'll have to do a show on that.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Yes,
One more health benefit from
yes.
the olive oil is shown to help reduce the issues of Alzheimer's. So in Alzheimer's, you get these protein clusters clogging up the brain, and there's compounds in the olive oil that have been shown to help disperse those clusters. So it's something, if you know someone who's, especially in the earlier stages of Alzheimer's, increase the olive oil in their diet to help with that. And that's
Exactly. And use that. And I know people don't realize, like, when they buy these pre-made products out there, they have all these unhealthy oils in them. So you want to look for products either that have extra virgin olive oil, or just make your own with olive oil.
Yep.
So, yep,
Yeah.
too many
A,
unhealthy fats.
a basic rule of thumb I have is the more machines that touch your food, the
Right.
less healthy it's going to be.
Exactly.
Especially
That's
in big processing food factories. Yeah.
definitely. You got that right. Definitely. Well, that's great. So Mark, or Merriweather, I'm sorry, but that's your first name. But so tell everyone again your website and where they can find more about you and the supplements too.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I am the lead chemist herbalist for Medicine Man Plant Co.
Right.
www.medicinemanplantco.com, where we
Yes.
have a number of ancient plant formulations for modern health issues, all based not only on traditional herbalism, but proven scientifically, because as a scientist, I need that proof. But medicinemanplantco.com, check it out. And there's stuff there that'll help pretty much everyone.
Yeah, lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. I've been looking at that. Great, Mark. Thanks so much, and our Merriweather. Thanks so much. And yes,
That's all.
just hopefully you'll come back next month and tell us about something else that's really good for us as well.
I like the apple cider vinegar idea.
Yeah, let's do that for the
that.
next one. Yeah, because there's so
Okay.
many benefits, and I've just started
Yes.
getting into that too. So I even give it to my dog, and it's really good for you. Yes, definitely. So,
Excellent.
all right, that definitely. We're going to hold you to that. Great. All right, we'll see you next month. All right,
All right.
Merriweather, thanks.
Have a great
Good
one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. And as always, thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's special guest, Tim Goodwin, the associate editor of the Flower Gardener's Handbook, and Merriweather from the Medicine Man Company. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can find me on Twitter at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Chef Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on LinkedIn at M Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on the Basic Art of Italian Cooking by Maria Liberati channel on Roku, and the Maria Liberati channel on YouTube, and the Maria Liberati channel on Vimeo. And be sure to look for my newest book that is just released called The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Diaries. And you'll be able to get that at artoflivingprimamedia.com, at marialiberati.com, on barnesandnoble.com, and also, of course, Amazon and Kindle. And of course, that book joins my other books, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, and The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Da Vinci Style. Be sure to look for all those books at marialiberati.com and artoflivingprimamedia.com. Until next week, peace, love, and pasta.